Spurs Thunder is going to Game 6 after another blowout in Game 5. It was 117-89 to the Spurs. Every game in this series has been a blowout one way or another. OKC has no bench. That has become sort of the main theme here. And I know you're not big on Scott Brooks, and I was telling you the other day, I totally see it now. There's just no offense with this team. And even though they got it to 2-2, I can't see them beating the system. This system is just so good. And Ginobili, when he plays a little younger than he is, which he's been doing, these guys are pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah, the Spurs are a well-oiled machine. That's what they are. They are Ivan Drago of basketball. I mean, they can be beat, but it's really, really tough to beat them. I mean, it's a well-greased machine.
So that makes the Heat rocky then. Right? I mean, that's sort of what's going to happen.
Kind of, I
fight
suppose.
At the end,
well, that happened last year, right?
Yeah.
That was rocky. Like a historic, monumental individual effort by Ray Allen on that shot.
Yep.
That was kind of the knockout, because that's what they needed to beat this machine. I have the most respect for the Spurs, and I used to not like them for a long time because they seemed boring, and Duncan has this expressionless face, and Parker is a French guy.
But aren't you amazed though when you watch, even as expressionless as he is, that when they call timeouts, that you can see that Duncan and Parker and Ginobili and the rest of them, they respect each other. You can really, truly see it the way he puts his arm around him.
Yeah, it's an incredible team, and you know, they don't dazzle you with amazing, you know, highlight dunks and all that kind of stuff, but they do dazzle you with amazing passing and timing and team chemistry. And Popovich is such a smart coach. I love what he does.
Yeah.
And
look what he's done to Boris Diaw. I mean, Boris Diaw is a slightly better than average NBA player, but he's got this guy basically playing point guard when Parker's not in there. The guy's did you see the other day, he had like 4 reverse layups in the post while he's playing point guard. I mean, the guy, he's really something.
No, so Pop is doing everything right. So yesterday, in the pivotal Game 5, he did a little tweak. He would take Splitter out, and he would put Matt Bonner in, and that completely bamboozled poor, pathetic Scott Brooks. Like, oh my God, what do I do now? And Matt Bonner didn't even make many shots.
No, he had 0 points.
Yeah.
So this is the genius of Popovich.
Yeah.
But he puts Bonner in. Bonner, I think, played 17 minutes, but it got Ibaka to have to guard the three-point line. Totally got rid of Ibaka. Bonner does nothing, but it gives them, the rest of them, the room to do what they got to do.
Yeah, the problem with Scott Brooks is that he's really incapable of making adjustments during the game.
Yeah.
I mean, his real coaching genius is that he got Durant and Westbrook on his team.
It helps. It is genius. It helps.
And I'll tell you, those two guys they're swimming with an anchor. I mean, if they had a system in place that would play to their strengths, they would be unstoppable.
Yeah.
So kudos to Durant and Westbrook for being as good as they are, despite the poor structure that they're playing within.
In Brooks' slight defense, though, they really have no bench, and especially with Reggie Jackson injured, even though he played yesterday, but didn't look, you know, he obviously lost something. I'm coming off an ankle injury myself, so I know what it's like. But yeah, they have an incredibly thin bench, and if one of those two guys is not playing well, just nobody can step up. Derek Fisher's playing for them. The guy's in a retirement home.
So OKC has a lot of problems. I mean, they need both Durant and Westbrook to play extremely well.
Yeah.
They need Serge Ibaka to play at least average, probably above average. And then they need someone else to come through. You know, Reggie Jackson, Caron Butler, Steven Adams has been giving them great minutes. I mean, he's so much better than Kendrick Perkins. The fact that Brooks plays Perkins and Cephalosha as much as he does is a big issue. But to his credit, he has diminished their minutes, and he's playing Adams a lot more.
Yeah.
But they need everyone to play well for them to win, and on the road that doesn't happen. And that's why San Antonio is dominating at home. San Antonio can have an off night from any one of their big three, and they can still win because it's a very team-oriented game. I mean, Danny Green can go off at any moment. And
Kawhi Leonard, by the way, he really is sick. I know he doesn't show up every game, and he kind of disappears for a little bit. But when he wants to, they say his hands are like the size of a 7-footer's hands. And he just grabs that ball and he throws it in front of everybody and just races down the court. He's something.
Yeah, they have really great complementary pieces, and you know, kudos to the organization, Popovich, for using those pieces correctly. But everyone contributes. Everyone does. It doesn't matter who they have. I mean, like you said, Boris Diaw has been great, but so has Patty Mills.
Yeah.
So has you know, in past years, Gary Neal. Who did they have this year?
Splitter. I mean, everybody that they put in
Green,
does it.
All these like retreads from other places that couldn't fit. They go to the Spurs, they buy into the system, they play with passion, they play with chemistry and teamwork, and they become winners.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think OKC is going to regret the Harden deal? Because it's short term kind of look good, but they clearly need that third guy. Even if it meant, I get the salary reasons that they had to do it, but even if you had to gut the rest of them, it's not like they have a bunch of good role players anyway. So it seems to me that while it looked good at the beginning,
I actually think,
and I'm not a big James Harden fan in any way.
And I'm not a big fan of James Harden either. I think that trade was fine. I mean, they had to do it. They can't keep all four of them. So it was a choice between Ibaka or Harden, and I think the way Ibaka has blossomed, he's better for that team. The problem with them is that they're not good at developing the players. Yeah, you're right that the bench isn't so great. But if I told you, well, look at the bench of Thiago, well, not Splitter's actually a starter now.
Yeah.
But if Patty Mills and Danny Green and Boris Diaw.
Right, that goes to the system.
And Matt Bonner, I wouldn't say that's a great bench either, right? But you compare those guys against, who does OKC at? Reggie Jackson, Caron Butler, Steven Adams, and Nick Collison, and Derek Fisher. I would say, you know what, they're comparable, and maybe OKC is a better bench. But they're just not used properly, and they don't get the maximum output from them. So I put it more on the organization and the coaching than on the players themselves.
Right. So does this thing end tomorrow night?
The thing is, I don't know. And I can't understand why people purport to know, because Durant and Westbrook are so good, they can win any game at any given time. They can both go off for 40 points each. And they play such a relentless, furious pace that the old Spurs, maybe they can't keep up. But I can't see them winning the series against the Spurs. So
yeah, I suspect just because this whole series has gone blowout, 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 I suspect they're going to win Game 6 and then they're going to get crushed in Game 7. I think the Spurs are just...
I think Spurs win. Whether they win in 6 or 7, I don't know. But I think Spurs will win.
Yeah.